It's time. All right, Ed, ready to rock and roll? Let's do
Yes, I am.
Oh, hello everyone and welcome. So exciting to be here with you today. I'm Dori Soukup and with me is my very special guest, Mr. Ed Kuhn. Ed is an insurance expert who's going to be sharing with us all kinds of great information about the status of what you need to do with your present liability insurance. And also he's going to give us a lot of great information about telemedicine, or I like to call it telehealth, either way, of what you can do and what you need to do to have that as a revenue stream for your Medspa or your clinic, either way. So this is part of our M.A.P.S series that we've been doing. As soon as I heard of the coronavirus, I knew I had to fulfill a need that's needed right now in our industry. So I came up with the M.A.P.S system, and the M.A.P.S system is all about helping people in our community or the industry as a whole minimize the coronavirus business disruptions and be able to deliver a great recovery plan for everybody. So we're doing these series under the M.A.P.S system, where we are providing you with talented experts like Ed, and I've already done a few other interviews and we have a few more I'd like to tell you about. But we came up with this process that's going to help you navigate through these disruptions. And M.A.P.S stands for, first of all, is getting your mind on with the right state of mind, get it straight, think positively, and come up with ways to combat this current situation that we have. Assess is to see where you are right now, outline what your options are, and take action. Plan is how to minimize the entire disruption, and then success planning your relaunch. As a matter of fact, that's what we're doing starting next week with our mastermind group. This past week, we focused on generating revenue online via the consultations. And next week, we're gonna start the entire planning process to recover from this mess that we're in. So before I start with Ed, I just want to let you know of a couple of great webinars coming up, so you guys can register for them and join us so you can keep up with this entire transformation that we're actually providing you with. So next week, actually in 2 weeks almost, we have how to do a proper consultation. I have an expert joining me. She's absolutely wonderful, Jacqueline. She's the founder of Skin Perfect University. So you definitely want to be with me on that webinar. We're going to go through the entire consultation process and how you can actually make money online right now. The second one is we have Car Realty joining me next week, actually, for managing financial responsibilities, things like your lease, your equipment lease, your mortgage. How can you actually navigate through that and try to get some time to buy you during these crises? And then the third one is my favorite one, because I just finished this system for our mastermind group, and that's called the We Dare system. And I came up with an entire process on how to actually do online consultations that are generating a lot of revenue for many of our members. So I'm actually going to be doing an overview of that program for you, totally complimentary, just as my way to, again, provide valuable information through the M.A.P.S webinars that we're doing for everybody. And during the first webinar we did, I announced that I'm actually starting a nonprofit organization to help us as an industry. And we came up with the Global Medspa Association. So if you'd like to go there, .com, globalmedspa-association.com, that's where we're putting all the webinars that I'm doing are all being housed on globalmedspa-association.com. So you can go and watch reruns, or if you miss some of the live webinars, then you can go and find it. And the whole purpose really of me starting this organization is because I wanted a place for people like us to be able to be one, to unite, to educate, provide you with valuable information, and to help you grow and navigate through these difficult times. And that's really why we created that. So those are my little announcements. So I would like you to go there. And again, welcome everybody. It's great to have you here. So I'm going to start by Ed. If you want to share with everybody, I've known Ed now for, oh my goodness, how many years has it been, Ed? Probably 10. I don't know how long. We're getting old. That's all I know.
We're both, before we were wearing glasses, let's put it that way.
Ed has helped so many of our clients. Whenever somebody's opening up a business or needing liability insurance, he has such a great reputation in the industry. He is so knowledgeable. He's been doing it for a long time. And whenever somebody needs insurance, he's like our to-go-to guy to help all of our clients in helping them really structure their entire insurance plan properly. So why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself, Ed, and then we'll get started.
Okay, thanks, Dori. I appreciate you including me in this webinar.
My pleasure.
Myself and my colleagues at Wellness Medical Protection Group share your enthusiasm, and we certainly want to do all we can do to help our clients out. We have been doing this a long time. We have hundreds of med spas that we insure, and they're all different. It's all a customized approach, and we want to take the same approach in getting our clients through, this hard time. And the topics I'm going to talk about are things that we have heard from our client base that we feel that are going to be necessary to now report back to everyone else in a more widespread format through this webinar.
And that's why I wanted you to come and be with us, because these are the kind of questions that we've been getting from so many people. And instead of, I believe in whenever you have an expert that can come and answer those questions, then you should have the expert come and answer them. So, and that's really why I wanted you to come and share with our community all these different things that's on people's minds. Like, what do I do? Can I stop paying for my insurance now? Do I need to keep it going? I have so many people that ask tons of questions about telemedicine or telehealth. What do I need to do to get that going? So the questions are endless. As a matter of fact, if you're with us live, feel free to submit a question. And as we go along, I'm going to have Ed leave some time for us at the end to actually answer some of these questions for you.
Oh, thanks. These particular challenges that we're facing, it's really uncharted territory on both sides, on the policyholder, business owner, and also the insurance company, the agents, and the brokers that are the intermediaries that are representing the clients. And so we really have to step up in terms of, what the industry's reporting, the industry response, is the proactive steps that we're taking with our carriers and our premium finance companies, and communicating back with them, getting their positions on things, and so we can report back. And really, the first thing that comes to my mind is that it's a function of time. Because it's an open-ended type situation. No one on carrier end or the finance company or end or the people that we deal with know that at some point it's going to end and then it's going to start again. So they're kind of doing it a step at a time, and it's going to be a process to get there.
Yeah.
So we get to a relaunch, in other words.
So let's go over what we're going to basically discuss today. What are some of the main points you're going to go over?
Thanks. Well, the typical Medspa, anti-aging clinic, physician office, they're basically going to have two types of insurance involved before this happened. One is your office commercial general liability, which every business owner carries and needs, and it handles things in the course of running the business, patients coming in and out of your practice. There's also the second part of it is the medical professional liability, which is basically the medical malpractice, which covers healthcare practitioners for basically gross negligence allegations. We all kind of understand that. And added to that now in an expanding capacity is the telemedicine liability insurance associated now. And it's going to be a bigger component going forward as we come out of this, because we're using this opportunity to help our clients and do that. We can certainly go into detail on that telemedicine liability part.
For sure.
And then finally, can I go, if patients can't come into my facility, what's the liability of me actually maybe going out and doing work outside of my facility and being proactive? And then finally, premium financing, getting into some of the financing aspects of what's going on.
Yes. Perfect. Your sound is muffling a little bit. I'm not sure if your mic is in the way of something that's being interfered with.
I could just speak up a little bit. How's that?
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
So we do have some brand new people on with us, Ed. So I just want to take a minute to introduce myself because there are some people that may not know who we are. Again, my name is Dori Soukup. I'm the founder of Inspiration Management. We are a business firm designed to help people like yourself plan or turn around or develop a whole brand new business model for your med spa or spa. I have the pleasure of speaking all around the world. I am a published author. As a matter of fact, if you don't have a copy of my new book yet, you should go to the website and get one. This will be great reading for you now, so you should get a copy for sure. And of course, we do a lot of marketing and things to help our clients. I run a mastermind group. We have members who belong to our mastermind group, and all we've been doing for the last couple of weeks is just working very hard on coming up with solutions for their business. So it gives me pleasure to be the positive force right now for the industry and truly help everyone navigate through this program. And that's why really I wanted everybody to join us for the M.A.P.S and continue to seeing all these webinars to really help them with their business. So let's go ahead and get started then, Ed, with the first thing we want to talk about is basically how the carriers are actually responding to the different questions that people are asking right now.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, these are pretty much the main issues that are going on. And I was wondering how many of the listeners out there, and I think it's going to be a large percentage of them, were wondering about business interruption insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing the technicalities of it on the surface, it's, well, my business is interrupted. I was basically told, shut down by the local authorities, the civil authorities. Does my policy apply here? The policy being your business owner's policy, your commercial general liability policy. And the answer, quite frankly, is it does not. It has to do with business interruption relative to physical damage, something breaking, something blowing up, tornadoes. I mean, again, this is new uncharted territory for the insurance companies. There's not a policy out there that's going to include wording for something as widespread as a pandemic.
Right.
And so it's not going to be really apparent in the policy form one way or the other. However, it is pretty clear that business interruption has to do with something being damaged that is stopping and preventing your business, which of course would,
other than the coronavirus. It's like this does not apply.
You see, the virus extends to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just an earthquake in California or a hurricane in Florida where they can isolate it. It's too widespread. If they had to pay claims, it would.
Yeah.
And they weren't charging for it in the first place. And that's really
So basically, they need to keep paying for their liability insurance because this does not qualify as a disruption that's under the qualifications.
Well, you won't be able to make a claim to get any, money from the insurance company for the business being interrupted, right? But however, the carriers, again, this is uncharted territory, so they're being taking things into consideration about not being too hard on their policies, charging late fees, giving you a little bit extra time to pay. And that's the thing. It's a timing thing where we're asking them to just maybe relax some of the payment rules that they have to maybe allow 30 days. Maybe we can consider 30 days. After that, I don't know. Maybe then they have to come up with a new process. And I don't think they're going to be encouraged to do 30 days and then 30 days and then 30 days. At some point, it's just going to have to hold.
And you know what, Ed? This is part of running a business. That's why I'm so surprised that I get this question asked all the time. How much cash reserve should I have in my account? And, if you're a member in our community, I'm always preaching that you should have at least 6 months of reserve. That's how I run my business, and that's how I like everybody else to run their business. But if you don't have at least a couple months to flow, then that tells me you're not a good business person. You need to get your stuff together. So if you're able to survive this one, then you better get some strategies in place that you have better reserves, that you're not overspending, that God forbid, if something like this happens again, you can carry yourself without money coming in for 2, 3, 4 months. That's a good business. But if you're so worried about making an insurance payment or making your electricity payment, that you really don't have a business. It's not structured properly. But since they are in that situation, hopefully this will be a good awakening to start doing the business modifications that are needed to have a stronger business. That way they don't have to worry about missing an insurance payment or any other payment for that matter.
There's no mechanism to put their policy on hold. You either have insurance or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, because again, this is unprecedented. You always want to have insurance in place. You could still have claims. You could still have somebody break into your place while you're not there.
So what happens, Ed, though, if they put it on hold? Let's say they put it on hold, and then God forbid something did happen. Does that mean they're not covered?
Right. The insurance company is still on the hook to pay your claim because that's what the contract is. As long as you
have to be active. You have to be active to be able to get a claim.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. So everybody, basically, to qualify for any claims, you have to keep making your insurance. All right, let's switch a little bit to the commercial general liability. What are the new laws or things that they need to know about that? Well, we actually kind of covered it. You said that the only thing that's covered is tornadoes or different things. So basically it's not covered right now. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So
first question we received, really.
Yeah.
And then the other component to a Medspa's insurance package is going to be the professional liability. How does that impact during this? Pretty similar to the fact that you have to keep your policy in force, because the majority of the claims out there, what they call claims-made policies, which means coverage comes in when you get served with a demand for money or damages or a complaint relative to a gross negligence allegation, right? And that could occur at any time. And the other side of that was, I'm not seeing any patients right now, and that led to the "can I put my insurance on hold" question. And the answer in both cases is no, because of the fact that you have to have it open in the event that a lawsuit, a complaint, a demand for money that could come from a patient that maybe you treated 6 months or a year or 2 years ago, all the way back to the retroactive date of your current policy. So it's very important to keep that policy going through this time. Again, I think it's a function of how long this is going to last for. The insurance companies totally understand that you have an obligation to treat your patients, which is one of the reasons why they're so open now for telemed as a substitute now doing that. I would advise you work very closely with your agent. Your agent should be communicating with you on what's going on. They should be telling you similar things than what I'm telling you, because we're all experiencing the same responses and we all use pretty much the same group of insurance companies. And just find out what your particular company is willing to do to address your particular individual situation.
That's good advice. All right, so let's talk a little bit about telemedicine or telehealth and what's involved, because a lot of physicians now, a lot of their team members, I have a lot of clients who have their nurse injectors now doing online consultations, they're doing assessments. So first, let's start by defining a little bit what could go under the telemedicine umbrella and some of the things that they really must have before they can actually do telemedicine.
Probably the broadest description is electronic communication. Okay, and so now that's the broadest description of what telemedicine is. Telehealth, and as you said, Dori, is synonymous with telemedicine. We can use both terms. But what's happened recently is now the federal health officials, and specifically the name is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. That was effective March 17th, so it's very new, where they came up with some new flexibility rules and relaxing some of the regulations and reimbursement rules for telehealth encounters. In other words, this has kind of forced the issue on them to say, we really need to expand the ability to have it's critical now that we have the ability now to expand into a virtual practice for all our healthcare practitioners, right? And one of the things that I always knew all along with telemedicine, and by the way, about 25% of the doctors were using this before that. So, I mean, it's not a brand new thing. It's just that now this is really pushing it to the forefront. And the one thing that was always kind of rigid was that required the healthcare practitioner to be licensed in the state in which the patient is receiving care. So if you had a patient that was coming over the state line going into your clinic before, that's going to be a little bit different now to do a virtual consultation with them because of this restriction. And this is the one thing in this March 17 declaration that was made that I think we need to look at a little bit closer to see if they would relax those particular geographic constraints.
So how far is it now? Like, is there a certain mileage?
You have to be licensed in the state in which the patient is receiving care.
I see.
Which is never a problem if they come into your office, but it's a problem. It is a problem like here in Illinois, we have Wisconsin and Indiana. In Florida, you're close to the state line. There in New York, you got Connecticut, New Jersey, and where patients are maybe coming from multiple states. Well, now you want to do a virtual practice, and there's an element of the fact that you need to be licensed in that particular state where now your patient is in their home.
Right. But I like the idea. I mean, just think of how much they've opened up themselves to an entire state rather than just a city. So I think even though they're having to be licensed in that state, by practicing telemedicine, they just opened themselves up to being able to help people all over the state. I mean, that's awesome.
There was always geographic constraints, right? And this is pushing that because now, why do you need a geographic constraint if I can do it virtually?
Very nice.
But really what it comes down to, when it comes down to insurance, the insurance companies and the professional liability, and what I was alluding to earlier about how telemed is now a bigger element within your professional liability policy. The insurance companies are not excluding it. There's no policy out there that says we exclude telemedicine specifically. So they're open to adding coverage to it. They're more open to it if you approach them and say, I'm just doing telemedicine now to replace the physical in-office visits that I had and just doing virtual consultations and nothing different than what I was doing in the office.
Right.
But if you start adding new services, that means that you run the risk of having something that you're doing that is not covered on your policy because it is new, regardless of whether it's in the office or if it's virtual.
Right.
So
But
really,
could my policy though go down because now I'm not seeing patients in the office and everything is just via telemedicine? Can I just get a telemedicine insurance policy alone if that's all I'm doing right now?
yeah, those are both great questions. And the first one is most of the Medspa liability, the rates are driven by some kind of quantifiable measure, right? And in a lot of cases, it's revenues. So if your revenues go down, then yeah, it has a tendency of, but we're talking about maybe making your revenues go up. And if you with the telemedicine now, and if you do that, then you would have the other effect of increasing your premium because your revenues are going up. You're seeing more patients. The telemedicine is actually adding to your practice and making your practice grow.
So the coverage amount is based on how much revenue you generate with things like this?
The rate that they charge you is usually tied to patient visits, revenues, number of procedures. And your other question was if you just wanted to do standalone telemed, let's say you have a Medspa, and we have these cases right now, but I want to do telemedicine for maybe diabetes or weight loss or something else that's a little bit different. I want to form a separate DBA under my company or form a separate LLC, then yes, we can get you a standalone telemed policy, which covers the professional liability of the virtual practice, but also the cyber risk that you have involved, which is things like people hacking into your system, making sure that it meshes with your electronic medical records, making sure that it's HIPAA compliant. you know, your platform that you use comes under consideration as well.
Right.
And so the other thing on the other side was, can I go outside the office? And they're going to look at it the same way. If you want to do concierge medicine, where you actually want to go, we're not seeing a lot of that now because of the shutdowns and all that, and the social distancing and what have you. But that's another thing that could grow out of this. Where is, as long as we're adding virtual, why don't we just add an element of concierge as well? If you still don't want to come in the office, it's something we can offer you as another decision, and that would also be taken on a case-by-case basis.
So that's one thing I would like to talk to everybody about is I love, first of all, I'm all about the reoccurring business model. I love concierge medicine. I think if you're not doing that and you're a physician, you're crazy. Because
right. I've heard you say
the easiest thing to do for your practice to have just a big gush of revenue coming in on a monthly basis. And then when you combine that concierge medicine with telemedicine, I mean, you have like the best of both worlds, and let this experience that we're going through right now help you launch these two aspects of your business so you can keep managing this disruption, and instead of getting cut off, not being able to see patients in your office, then you're able to actually do things like this and start a whole new online business. It's amazing, the opportunities. So you just have to get your insurance, all your ducks in a row, get your platform, and start doing these wonderful things that are right there for you right now to harvest, basically, right?
You see, there's assistance from the government, there's assistance from the insurance companies, and the institutions and companies that you deal with are all willing to work to help you get there. And patients are going to be a lot more conducive to virtual things as well, where maybe they weren't before.
Yeah, and I would love to do, like right now, I would much rather see my doctor on a Zoom call like this rather than to have to go wait in the office for 10 hours. And it's like,
right. I mean, I'm on a hormone program now. I really necessarily don't have to go into the office to see my doctor. I could do it virtually. I have to get my blood tested and my levels tested once in a while, but maybe twice a year, where the other times I could just do it virtually.
Yeah, it is. It's changing actually the way we do things. It's opening up new opportunities that we really did not even think about before. Makes a big difference. Right. So what are some of the new laws that you want to talk about as of like March 4th and March 19th? What do they need to know about that?
Well, we heard about, especially the March 19th, the CARES Act, and it has many healthcare provisions within it. I'm not going to go into detail, maybe one or two of them, but it's expanding telehealth flexibilities, which is what I referred to earlier about, reducing some regulations, opening up, and the biggest one I saw was the geographic territory regulation. And that's something that I think is going to be worked on here quickly, so that there's some parameters, and I don't think it's going to open up territories to everyone that wants to cross state lines, but something that there is no set decision made on it right now. It's just that there's obviously attention given to that, and therefore there's going to be a lot of effort in Washington to deal with that, because now that you're introducing, you can't promote telehealth and virtual practices without addressing that geographic constraint problem. That's really what the main thing to take out of this is, really.
So I have a couple of questions here coming in, so let me run one by you. Sure. This is from Dr. Navarro. She's asking, I have an overhead policy. It kicks in, I think she meant to write. It kicks in after 30 days. Does this kick in? How quickly, I guess, does this kick in?
That's what she's talking about. She's talking about business interruption. I think that's what she means by saying overhead policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 30 days. But again, I would read that. I would encourage everyone to read their policy, obviously, for the specific wording. But if it should say, but restricted to physical damage and bodily injury, and not, that's where the key element is it's not covering pandemics. There are business interruption policies, but the specific wording is for certain things, not just if your business gets interrupted for anything. And I
Is
think
this
that's
by
where
is this by state? Like what the
it's by
actual?
policy and by insurance company. You know, whatever policy she has, look at the business interruption part on that general liability policy and read it closely, um, because you know that's what it's going to come down to is a specific policy wording, and her agent can interpret that for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's saying that it's 35 years old, so she doubts that it has anything in it about pandemic
Yeah,
from
you know,
back.
they would have to have added that in as something they cover, and it's never happened before, and they wouldn't even know how to charge for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, yeah, we're covering pandemics because we've charged you premiums for that over the years, so it's
Mm-hmm.
something we cover.
Yeah. So if somebody has a liability insurance policy now and they want to add telemedicine, I know you said it depends on how much revenue and things like that, but can you kind of give us a range of what
Sure.
I can expect to pay for like some kind of a policy, at least to get me started?
We're seeing it as low as $250 because keep in mind, it's not a new policy. You're just adding another service to an existing one.
Mm-hmm.
And and under the anticipation that the revenues generated, at least initially, are going to be relatively low.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have them as high as $5,000 for standalone. Hey, I want to do, you know, a website that is going to address a specific disease or a general medicine problem or something outside the
Mm-hmm.
Medspa realm, and that will be a separate limit for that, as opposed to the less expensive one is where you're just adding telemedicine to a current policy,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to I want a whole separate one with a separate $1 million limit because I'm actually going to have bigger plans to generate more revenue through my and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you can't just say we're covering telemedicine for anything you do,
Right.
because you could do something really big and aggressive and has a big investment, or you can do something as simple as I just want to Skype my patients once a month.
Right. Yeah. So let me ask you this, Ed. As I mentioned, for the last couple of weeks, we've been implementing the We Dare system to teach people how to do online consultations and actually generate revenue. And by the way, we've had some amazing results. I mean, I have clients who are generating like $7,000 a week just doing online consultations. So what type of, would that be covered, just doing consultations, let's say customizing programs? It's not medicine, it's still in the med spa arena, recommending some skincare products, recommending treatments. Is that conduct would be just covered under the liability insurance, or should they consider it some kind of a telemedicine procedure or function that they need to be covered on?
Procedures and their approach that seems like it's just a virtual extension of what they're doing, and where it's more seamless, and we're just taking what we offer our clients and just putting it online and encouraging them to do that. That is going to be, there's no additional liability really associated with that other than the technology part of it. You're just doing the same thing you're doing, and as opposed to having maybe 10 more patients coming through your door, there's 10 more that you're going to deal with virtually.
Right.
Where the change would be in the rate is the revenue generated from it. Like all of a sudden you hit a home run with something on online consultations or online sales, private labeling, what have you, selling supplements, nutraceuticals, and that takes off. And we have clients like that we insure where they're online, and what they generate from their website is even more than what they have generated from their facility. Then that gets taken into consideration as well. But from a risk standpoint, it's lower because you don't have as many patients coming in to slip on a banana peel. You don't have as many incidences
that
where
get burned
someone,
using a laser.
yeah, right, they're not using a laser machine. So it actually, you know, if you had nothing but a virtual practice, I would venture to guess that that's going to be considered a lot lower risk than if you had patients where you're actually doing hands-on to them.
Exactly. Yeah. So what other factors should they consider?
Well, of course, a HIPAA compliant through your whole chain that it actually interfaces with your electronic medical records. You know, there is a little bit of a technology curve involved, but it's actually pretty basic, and it's not much more than what you know now. But then you also have to get colleagues and personnel, the people that work for you, you got to get them behind the program and
Right.
get them trained as well and get them the technology as well as the patients on the other side. Most patients, all they really need is a laptop with a camera to do Skype. And that's what we mean by configuring, making sure you have the tools and the gadgets
Right.
and software and the things that you need to operate, and then set up budget and look at your costs of what it's going to take. If you want to, you can go as far as setting up things like Google, pay for click systems and things that you're going to get into with some of the other webinars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that was good information. So are there some risks that they need to really be on the lookout for?
This is a summary of all the stuff we just talked about. Really, stay within the scope of your practice. Make sure that there's some guidelines and directives what we talked about with that CMS and with the new laws that passed. Just follow your same HIPAA compliance that you do with your physical visits. Be aware of being licensed to practice in the state where both the patient or the client locate. There's some exceptions, and these are things that the next thing we're going to do in this phase is look at that particular element. And then also I mentioned the fact that, of course, work closely with your malpractice carrier and your liability insurance agent to convey to them and articulate to them exactly what you want to have covered under your telemedicine practice. And again, going back to the first bullet point here, as long as it's within your current scope of practice and things that you do already, that should be easy to get through and skate through and get you set up. If you want to do different things and you have ideas that can generate revenue that include things other than what you're normally covered for, this is because of these policies are what they call surplus lines policies. And not to get too technical, what it means is all these companies that we deal with have customized approaches to their underwriting because all the med spas are different.
Right.
So that's one thing to always remember when you're working on your insurance and working with your agent, is that we can pretty much cover anything you do as long as you're trained in it, you have good consent forms in it, and that you basically convey to the underwriter that you know what you're doing.
Well, you just hit it though. The consent forms are such an important part of this whole process because you are online, you're not face to face. You want to make sure that all these documents get signed before you even start your session. And there has to be a process in place where you have some automated emails. As soon as somebody reserves an appointment with you, these consent forms need to go out. They need to be signed. You should get electronic signage availability. It's super easy to do. You just send your documents, they sign them online, and they return them to you. If I were you, I would not do any sessions without having that in place. So protect yourself. Be careful.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, be careful with that. I have a question here from Cheryl. She's asking, are there any video conferencing systems now easily available for everyone that are HIPAA compliant?
Yes, there are. There's, I don't know them, the technology aspects really off the top of my head. I have colleagues that help me with that.
Like, isn't Zoom one? That would not be.
Zoom is one of them. There's, I think Microsoft has one.
Right.
There's one called Doxy.me. There's one that we have a platform, our own company called Tele-MD, Telemd. And so finding the platform is probably one of the easier things to do in this. We didn't include that in here because it's, that would almost be a whole webinar in and of itself.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I have a couple more questions here. Let's see. This is actually one of our mastermind members, Dr. Hadoff, Leanne, Miss Leanne. So she's asking, if we are not on EHR, do I need more documentation for my consultation than what I fill out on my forms during the interview? Such as, do I need I need to record my consultations? Well, actually, they're all recorded. Like whenever you use a platform like this, it's already recorded. If you want to save it and put it on some kind of a network, it can all be recorded. But you can answer the beginning of her question.
Yes, just what I understand, the HIPAA compliant web platforms do interface with your electronic medical records. So it did the same inbounding type for exercise that you do with patients would also, but there's always a question between new patients and existing patients as well.
Mhm.
So the existing patient, you're already going to have a record set up.
Right.
just
But
getting
if
to that
they're a
record.
brand new, but if they're a brand new patient, you
And
still
the
need to have them fill out everything that they
correct,
usually fill out. You shouldn't deviate from that. And
correct.
plus, you probably should have a telemedicine even release form to protect yourself even further. Like
You
this
could add to your
testing was
existing consent form saying that, that you agree to also have this treatment administered virtually as well. And that would,
exactly. So those are the kind of things they need to add to their. Do you have some forms that are already created that we can pass on to people with something like that, or no?
no, we don't.
Like a general consent form for telemedicine sessions?
Um,
I need to find a way to get my
no,
hand on
I
it.
don't have, no, we do, that's, again, this is uncharted territory where
Right.
for instance, like in our policy form, Admiral, which is one of our leading carriers in the Medspa, a lot of the listeners are with Admiral. They're the ones that actually put right into their policy that they will cover anything that involves electronic communication. And they just, but from the reimbursement side and the patient electronic medical records, that's where you're going to have to work with somebody on the technology side, like a Tele-MD or like a Zoom or something. You get it set up so that and I even pointed out here in one of the bullet points that it's integrated in your patient record system as much as possible. That's something that you want to be concerned about.
Yes. Somebody was asking, were the companies you mentioned HIPAA compliant or not? The ones Ed mentioned are HIPAA compliant.
Correct.
Like Telemed, Zoom. What was the other one? The first one you mentioned? I didn't write that one down.
Teams is another one I know, TEAMS, and then Doxy.me. But
what
again,
was that one? That was the first one you mentioned. What was that one?
Teams.
No, the one right after that.
DOXY.me. These are just ones that I'm seeing from some of the patients that we're working with, but we have, because we want to make sure that in covering the telemed, that we have them on the right platform.
Right.
Actually have our own called through WMPG, was TELEMD.com.
Okay.
.solutions. And then because we didn't want to send the clients back out and said, well, when you get your platform, then come back and we'll get you the insurance.
Right. So this is your own platform?
Correct.
Oh, so how does that work?
Well, our company actually had that set up for our clients to do private labeling and like online stores and things like that. So we already had the platform built. And so when this telemed need came along, now we can use that with our clients, and it's HIPAA compliant. It does interface.
So is it like a Zoom platform, kind of like this?
Yes, it is.
Okay. How much is that a month?
We have programs it starts at $995, and then I believe it's
a month or a year?
No, a year. To start.
You scared me there for a minute. I'm like, no. My gosh.
Yeah, I have associates that deal with that, but they know more than I do. We got it, but yeah, it's $995 to get set up, which is pretty reasonable considering what we see out there, because they're a lot more expensive. And then I believe it's $299 a month after that, no contract, and there's go to the website to see all the features and benefits and things. You want to make sure people get set up quickly because of this crisis. This is nothing where, take 6 months down the road. This is something by next week we want to.
Right. And these are all that you can record all the sessions. It's HIPAA compliant. You have everything that you basically need in one platform, and it communicates with most medical records.
Correct.
Oh, that sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, it's because we had it operational before the platform. We just took it down, we just put it back up again and using it now in this capacity.
Okay. Nice. Now, does it act also as a way to, if you want to send a prescription out to somebody, does it have all that information? You can set up all the sequences, automation for consent forms, all that?
Yes, it does.
Nice. I'd like to check that out so I can recommend it to people if it's, you know, that good.
Yeah, it's I could give you the website you could send out and recommend it to
Yeah.
people.
Definitely. We can include it in the email actually that we send out to everybody after post webinar. So yeah, if you send it to me, I'll include it for tomorrow, because there are some people that can't make the live webinar, but they can still go and watch it and gain that information.
Yeah, well, like I said, we created it for our pharmacy to sell private labeling, and mainly to chiropractic offices and also anti-aging clinics. And then we said, well, why don't we use it for this as well, and then expand it into more of the Medspa practice.
Right, makes sense.
You know, these things are all customized to what you need them for, all these programs.
Yeah.
And just jumping real quick into the premium financing thing
Yep.
slide here, I just wanted to mention that most of the med spas use optional premium financing, and they're usually subsidiaries of banks, and what they do is they go ahead and pay the insurance company the full amount of the loan for your policy and then collect payments. Typically, what we use is 15% down and then 10 monthly payments, and they have already paid the insurance company. So you buy your policy, the finance company pays the insurance company the full premium, so they're paid, and then they collect payments from you and charge interest, right? And you can pay it off at any time without a penalty. So the finance company has contractual obligations to pay the insurance company. However, they are being flexible now in terms of maybe giving you more time to make your payment. For instance, if your payment is due, let's say April 10th, they'll give you 15 days before they'll send you a letter saying your payment's past due, whereas before it was only 5.
Like, why would somebody want to do this though?
Only if they have difficulty making their payment, for the most part. You know, you got to keep your policy in force, because if you don't make your payment, then they instruct the insurance company to cancel your policy.
Right. So
however,
instead of
they're the ones that are
canceling,
going to instruct your insurance. They're the ones that you're paying, you're not paying the insurance company. You're paying.
So basically, you're
company.
getting a loan to pay your insurance,
right,
and then you're paying the loan.
Right.
Okay. How many people do that?
Really be surprised. 2 out of every 3. Yeah, 2 out of every 3 med spas finance, because it offers them the ability to pay as they go along, and the rates are pretty good now. You know, the annual percentage rates are pretty low, so it makes sense. And then the other side of the coin would be you paid your premium in full, right? Well, the insurance company doesn't have a mechanism to put it on hold, or give you money back and then take it back again, because they're still obligated to pay your claim if it comes in.
So Dr. Lehman, one of our mastermind group members, actually said that he uses DoxyMe as a platform, and that's definitely HIPAA compliant.
Okay.
So just a little information for you guys, a little feedback from some of our members. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Lehman. All right, so the premium financing, the first insurance funding. So what is that all about?
We use first insurance funding. There's other companies like U.S. Premium Funding, Canon will, but the one that we deal with, and they're all pretty much taking the same positions as if you are, make your payment on time, but if you are late, they'll give you a little bit extra, 10 extra days above and beyond what they usually do. If you do need that time, there won't be a late fee associated with it. If you're on auto pay right now and you're worried that, I need a little bit more time, you can take it off of auto pay. You can pay with a credit card, which gives you another way to pay. But really just work with your agent closely, because if I have a client that calls and say, hey, I need a little bit extra time on my payment, then I could just relate that to the finance company, and they'll work with you.
Yeah, good. What other advice can you give someone, like as far as their insurance right now, if they are in a situation where they want to cut some costs here and there? What would be the best angle to kind of manage this cash flow situation that they have going on now?
Well, there's nothing we can do to temporarily put anything on hold. All we can do is mainly just maintain what you have right now. Work closely with your agent if there is any deviation from the norm, so to speak. Particularly if it's a cash flow situation. Uh, if you want to, during this time.
Is there a way to reduce the policy since they don't have people coming in? Like reduce the amount?
That's a great question, Dori. Okay, so let's say, the people, you're going to renew in 3 months. Your policy comes up for renewal, let's say in June. And from March, whenever, till middle of May, you didn't see a lot of, the patient volume went down. And that would reflect on the quantifiable measures I mentioned earlier, like revenue and number of patient visits. Well, the argument there with the renewal is I need to have my premium reduced because the measure you're using to rate it up is down. And
so they couldn't reduce it before the renewal though? Like just for now? Yeah, it is what it is.
It's got to reset at the renewal. I mean, the good news is that the insurance is only a year, and so some might be closer than others. But really, when your policy resets, that's when you have the ability to use other companies or go to your insurance carrier and say, hey, my business is really down last year because of the COVID-19 situation. Therefore, you need to consider.
Yeah, so you can benefit from it for the future rather than the past. Okay. So you have an app?
We have actually, this is something we put together, which is which we call the Medi Wizard. It's the insurance wizard. And if you click that particular link, it'll basically hone you in on the type of insurance products that you need for your practice. Keeping in mind what I mentioned earlier, that they're all different and that we take a customized approach.
Okay.
It just kind of helps you through the steps of purchasing insurance from square one to getting an idea of what you need and how much it's going to cost and what you need to do to get it.
Yeah, that's great. So I have Ed's information here for you. And again, it will be in the post email that we will do. So if you'd like to connect with him and ask him any questions or check out what their program is all about, then feel free to do so. He's located in Chicago, but that's his phone number, and his email is ed@wmpg.insure. So feel free to reach out to him and ask any other questions. So before I let you go, I just want to let you know that I'm looking for expertise in our community. And if you are a person that can add value to the entire situation we're going through right now, please feel free to go to globalmedspa.association.com, and there's a place where you can submit an application. So maybe I can invite you to be an expert as part of this entire M.A.P.S process that we're going through. And don't forget to go get your membership also at the Global Medspa Association. And I'd like to do one other thing, because many of you could be going through a difficult time right now. So if you need someone to speak with, you can, again, from the homepage, inspirationmanagement.com, you can go and sign up for a complimentary success planning session or management session right now. And my team, I have coaches on our team that can get with you and see what would be the best thing for you to do during this time. So make sure you take advantage of these opportunities that we are giving you, and make sure you sign up for the new webinar that I'm doing, the We Dare system for your online consultation system. Again, right from the homepage on Inspiration Management, you'll be able to register for this webinar I'm going to do for you in like 10 days. So I invite you to do that. Ed, thank you so much for being here and giving us your expertise and your wisdom. It was so much fun seeing you again.
Thank you.
Best wishes. Ed just told me that his wife has the coronavirus, so I'm so sorry to hear that. Quick recovery to her. Special prayers are going your way. So thank you again, all of you, for joining us. It's always a pleasure. I want you to stay safe, stay inspired, stay healthy, take good care of yourself. And I will be broadcasting our next webinars out of my place in Daytona, right on the beach. Maybe I'll give you a beach view webinar next week. But we are being ordered to stay home, so we're actually shutting our office down. This is our last day here temporarily, and then we're all going to be working remotely. So we are still open. We're taking all of our phones with us because we can actually connect with everybody. We have the most awesome phone system, so it'll be just like talking to each other in the office. But we're not stopping. We're going to keep going, keep helping you, keep providing you with great information to help you navigate through this mess that we're in. So stay safe. Thank you, you guys. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
My pleasure. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone. I should do my...
Thanks, Dori.
Bye, Ed.
Good luck working at home.
Yes, thank you.